Hiya, welcome to Inside Property Development, where today we're going to be speaking to Sadun R2 from Sessa Homes. Sadun started out doing small refurb deals, gradually transitioning to auction flips, learning about land and planning, and on his first real land and planning deal made a clear 1.3 million quid net profit. Let's find out exactly how he did it.
Hey Paul, how
Hello mate, how are you doing?
Good. Very excited to be here.
Well, you are welcome. Do you like our new
It's
Inside
amazing.
Property Development?
It's really fancy. Really nice.
There's a lot of sites on there, as always.
Yeah, I can see a couple
Land
here.
everywhere,
Yeah.
deals ready to be done. Anyway, what have you been up to? What have you been up to?
We've been looking into some commercial developments. Our latest project is in Watford. It's right next to our Berkeley development. They're building like 2,000 units, and there was a little grade 2 listed building, vacant, really in shambles. Really, we just want to convert that into a nursery. So
you actually bought it? You own it, do you?
Yeah. Just we bought it really cheap off an auction, 45k.
45k.
Yeah,
45k.
45k, and it needs a lot of touch-ups.
Yeah. And it's listed, yeah?
It's grade 2 listed, so we
Very
can't
dangerous.
really... It is dangerous, but as long as you know what you're doing, it should be fine. We will be extending that a bit, like 100 square meters, so any commercial scheme should do
and
well.
And it's going to be like a kid's nursery, yeah?
Well,
like day nursery, yeah?
Because you know the commercial rents with the nurseries are quite high compared to other commercial stuff. And 2,000 units is coming. And we are right next to a new build development. There are 60, 70 flats there. These people will need some sort of
nice
coffee shop.
Yeah, really good.
Grocery store.
Really
so
good.
It's just, it's quite different to what we've done before. We never touched grade 2 listed. And this building, Queen Victoria and Albert were there when it was the former ticket office for Watford station.
Oh,
so
really? Wow, nice.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it. It sounds like a nice building.
Yeah, it is a nice building. I mean, doesn't look nice. It was a former car sales site.
Oh, really?
So it needs a bit of love.
What is it? Where are you now? Is it in planning?
Yeah, pre-app, positive pre-app. So let's see. The officers didn't want us to change the interior. Yeah. Which is a bit difficult when it comes to commercial, but we'll be putting the full app Q1 next year.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing, and we got some dark kitchen site in Hornsey, other in the industrial right next to it. Yeah, just doing anything and
nice.
everything.
Well, look, it's interesting that you're doing commercial stuff because there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah. Well, we found that the rental income, it helps when we are because we use with our own equity, and then we have investors, so it helps. There's only 3 of us, 3 partners, and when the rent is coming, it helps with the wages and everything. But we find that during these last 2-3 years, the construction cost increases and everything. There's some sort of the expectation. I don't know. You'll be a better judge of this, but we've been doing this for 11 years now, and the gap between the seller's expectation and the buyer's expectation, it has been the greatest in my time. So I'm finding it a bit difficult to buy sites that I like. So we've been focusing on the commercial side with rental increases and all that. But planning is our bread and butter. So always looking for sites and sending letters.
Yeah, interesting. So landowners' crazy expectations has always been one of the biggest problems, and I haven't noticed that getting any different actually. I mean, they've always been crazy and they're still crazy really, but I've not actually been noticing much difference really. But so the Hornsey one, for example, how did you find that, just out of interest? How did you find the site?
Well, usually we send letters. The letters you have kindly shared with us during the training. But this one, we always look at auctions as well, and sometimes unsold lots, or we tend to give offers before the auction date. Sometimes you need to shoot to score, and they've accepted it.
I was thinking you might say that. That's a good model, really. I mean, I personally, I started buying stuff in auctions. That's how I started a long time ago. And I haven't really gone anywhere near the auctions for years, really. I sell things in the auction now and then, but I haven't really gone looking to buy, just largely because I've been so busy, and I've got my very specific model of going direct. I've just sort of stuck to that, really. But it can obviously work when you know what to look for,
Exactly, there are opportunities, and I would say the market value-wise, we got it quite cheap on the auction, because after we exchanged, someone else the auction house approached us and said, we would like to buy it more, make a quick profit. I said, no, we are aware of what we bought. There's like 13 dark kitchens there on a piece of land. In Hornsey, you don't find land that often, and just 2 industrial units there, which is outside of the local industrial zone. So there might be potential there in the future, but now we're just getting high yield rental income from there. So nice, it just helps,
Very good, very good. So you said you've been doing it for 11 years?
11 years, yeah.
Okay, so what were you doing before that, just out of interest?
Well, I was selling, I'm from Turkey, so I was actually selling cosmetic surgery. I was just finished my master's. I
could put a lot of work your way.
I was actually doing well, but with property, it's a different ball game. We are 3 partners basically, and my background in uni is finance and economics. The other partner, Jamil, who you know, he's a Formula 3 driver, and the third one was doing his DPhil, PhD in Oxford. He's a quite smart guy. So we got nothing to do with property, but back in 2012, the property market, in London, it's always valuable, but you can't do anything wrong in the market. So we started like friends, family finance. We bought a studio in Camden, renovated it, just made it look nice, made a good profit in 3-4 months. So we shared it with our investors, and they said, have more money because you've done so successful. So we started renovations, and renovations got bigger. And our latest one was in Mill Hill. This is the 3rd year of our company. We converted a 1930s house to 3 flats, 5 bed, 2 bed, 1 bed. But we were there from Monday, Saturday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then...
doing it yourself?
Well, yeah, they were contractors.
Okay.
We didn't know anything about construction. So we were just trying to make sure they are doing their tasks. Our architect coming and visiting the site. But then, because we always follow the auctions and sites for sale, we realized someone from the same auction we bought this property from, someone bought like a single-story garage site. And before we even finished, he got planning and sold it on and made a hefty profit out of it. So imagine we are in the construction site, it's cold, it's not the nicest workplace. So we were saying, oh my God, we're working really hard and we're going to make probably half the profit he or she did. So we're like, the next step is planning. We should go into planning. And without not knowing much about planning policy, we bought a formal social club in Edgware. Mind you, I have no idea about planning policy. I just went to Barnett's website. It's right next to the tube station, so I'm saying, flats will be good here. We're lucky, and we read the Barnett's planning policy only. Nothing with MPPF, no London plan. It's all gibberish to me. I had no idea. We were lucky. We didn't make much money, just broke even. 8 units.
So you got planning?
We got planning, yeah.
First time? No appeal?
No appeal. It went to the committee. Luckily,
and it was a social club?
Social club.
So I've got to say, you'll know this, and just for the benefit of people that might not know this, losing community uses is actually a real tricky one. So you could have very easily come unstuck on that.
But luckily, we knew it was. It hasn't been working for the last 2 or 3 years, and it had been marketed.
That's
so
good.
I read about it, and then inside it was terrible. So we're just being sensible. Yeah, we can get flats or mixed use here. And luckily, we did get that, but we didn't earn much. There was very small profit, not worth the 1 year, 18-month period. Then we sold it on, but we've seen the potential. It was like a uni for us.
Yeah.
And then once we started going to exhibitions about property, but most of them were selling SIPS panels. Or other technological, things, and we've seen courses, passive income courses and everything. We went to a couple of those. Sort to say, they were complete rubbish. So they are saying, oh, if you buy 5 properties, you'll be earning such passive income while you're sleeping. And then we bumped into your stand. It was saying Millbank Land Academy. I said, what is this? And I remember. It was, 9 years ago now. The first sentence you said, all these other companies, what they're talking about is bullshit. And I looked to my partner, I said, okay, we might be onto something here. And you put your famous graph, the profits, how you make it from land, the planning.
And the triangle?
And, yeah. And so we were like, oh my God, we were so excited because we got into that. We got our planning approval and we want to do more on it.
Yeah.
And then we started coming to your courses and sending out letters, getting more sites.
Cool, very good. So we'll talk about that in a second then. So, but interestingly, well, 2 things to mention actually. Just so good timing, right, in this business is important. So starting in 2012. That was good timing, for a start. So that's always
you could have just
always
stopped
handy.
Doing nothing, and then the value of the property was increasing. I wish it was like this now, but
well, it's important for people to know, because as you now know, one of the things that happens is a lot of people do shit deals, to be honest, and the market gets them out of trouble. But of course, until it doesn't anymore, and then that's when the shit hits the fan. So that was good. So you had good timing. It was good that you did detailed research, and luckily enough, the Barnet one, Edgware, worked out.
Yeah.
Just out of interest, why didn't you build that?
Again, we were just doing renovation projects, basements, and we don't know what we are doing. And in construction, you know it better than I do. There will be problems, and your profit margins will gone. So we decided, instead of relying on our builders, we need to just, we are supposedly smart guys, from uni. We can just read the planning policy and just rely on each other rather than relying on a contractor or a builder. So we chosen the smart route that fitted us. So because we had no background in construction, we would have probably made a huge mess of it.
Yeah, so probably sensible decision. Just a quick word to say thank you to our sponsors, LandTech, creators of Land Insight, which is the industry-leading bit of software to help developers find and analyse the potential of real 100% off-market development opportunities. I've been involved in the business for over 10 years now, and if you don't know what it basically does what people like me used to have to do the old-fashioned way, which is hunt around and get together all of the key information that's needed in order to make sensible decisions on the development potential of land. So that's planning data, market research, lists of all of the various constraints, environment and agency information, you name it, massive long list of all of the stuff that you need in order to find out who owns land, what policy constraints there might be, and exactly what you may or may not be able to do with it. All of the industry leading developers use it, and also the most clued up smaller ones. So if you're not already using it and you want to trial for yourself, have a look in the show notes. You'll find a link to get a free trial, test it for yourself, see what you think, and hopefully get busy finding real off-market development opportunities. So thanks again to our show sponsors LandTech, and let's get back to the show. And again, it's worth saying, so similarly, so I started out small, exactly the same actually, little refurbs, a long time ago now, and built up slowly. I also then started, and funny enough, originally I was buying stuff in the auction, because 35 years ago was very different to auctions nowadays. They were all a bit underground, not many people knew about them, you just get a lot more deals, But and I also sort of started realising the importance of planning, really, and then spent the rest of my career trying to get good on that stuff. So you obviously did the same.
Yeah.
You stumbled upon us.
Yeah, in an exhibition.
Yeah.
And then we had your seminar, and then in that seminar we were like, okay, this is what we need to learn. We couldn't have been quicker to register to one of your one-day training.
Yeah.
Obviously, back then we had a site in Lewisham as well, just a greenfield land, and we had the $1 million questions in our heads. So we wanted to ask you and get everything out of you, but you were saying, "Oh, you have to attend the 3-day course next time." So
it's true though, isn't it?
Because
you know, right? I'm no bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm out there doing this stuff every day of the week, so it really makes no big difference whether people do my training or not. I just want people to know how to do things the right way. Yeah. So my model, the first thing I really teach people and talk about is my approach for finding proper off-market sites. How did that go?
Well, before stumbling upon Land Insight, we were doing it on Google Satellite, land registry in different tabs, and just street views, just driving around London in bits we have identified. It was such a hassle. And once we've seen Land Insight, it was a hallelujah moment. It was like, oh my God, this is the best software we can use. This is going to save us so much time and money. And then afterwards, attending to your courses, it was a reassurance for us, because we were on the right path, and now we can excel in our knowledge, we can improve our knowledge, and you showed us the right way, and it was our homework. I was reading planning policies, going to committee meetings for every council, looking at planning applications, what's being done, which one is getting approved.
So that's interesting. Were you doing that before I told you to do it?
No. This was after your training session. But we were looking for sites in Land Insight before we attended your course.
That's interesting.
So it was... We didn't know. When you put the Land Insight, we were like, oh.
So there's two things, right? So obviously, without a shadow of doubt, Land Insight, LandTech, for finding the sites. But then when you found them, what was your approach? Were you trying direct to vendor anyway?
Yeah. So we were sending out letters. We were hand delivering letters just to suss out the owners and would they be interested. We tried all sorts of methods, but our letter was really basic. It's like, your land we are interested in, please give us a call, etc. It wasn't refined at all. We bought one site in Lewisham, like that.
As a result of that approach,
Yeah.
So interestingly, hang on, before you go on, because this is important, did you buy it or did you tie it up on an option or a conditional contract?
No. The thing with us, when I still use this tactic. When I approach the landowner, I say, I can provide you an unconditional offer, I can provide you an optional offer. I guess I am more competitive on the unconditional side, because everyone wants the money in their pocket, really.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we were shooting ourselves in the foot with that strategy, But because we had the equity from the investors, it was, I mean, let's use the money instead of sitting on it, and because capital has cost as well.
Yeah.
So we were, lucky enough to have the equity to buy sites. So unconditional was the way for us.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what happened?
Yeah, we bought the Lewisham site, very close to Bromley border actually. Everything was fine. The only problem was the remainder of the site was owned by an housing association, which was a part of the council, right next to a retirement complex. Amazing site all day long. There's a right-of way over the road, but this was owned by the housing association. They wanted to buy the house from us, the housing association, and this is us 6-7 years ago, maybe more, so I'm not as experienced.
Yeah.
I said, no, I'm going to go to planning, not knowing this housing association had a very close tie with the council. We ticked all the boxes in planning, but we couldn't get over the council's, the problem was the road leading to this land had no pavement.
Yeah.
So it could have accommodated as a shared surface, but when we asked the housing association that we want to amend the road, they said no.
So they effectively ransomed you.
Exactly, and they said because they are being elected by the residents, so they were like, we're not going to let you develop this. Although it ticked all of the boxes.
Interesting.
Because people, disabled people or people with buggies couldn't access the site. That was the only problem. So that was our first refusal. And then
what happened with that one? What did you do with it?
We sold it to the housing association.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Well, the negotiations took a long time, but that was our first refusal. But again, planning-wise, it ticked all of the boxes, so we were very excited. But it's a huge housing association.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, as you now know, obviously as well, and it's like a lot of people. One of the problems and advantages with development is obviously it's complex, right? And there's a lot of interrelated things: planning, construction, land ownership, legal stuff, negotiation, and very often, people just look at one thing and they miss all of the other stuff.
Exactly.
So very often, I get people talking to me about stuff all the time, coming to me with problems, and they got a bit stuck. And what do I do about this? Very often people have actually gone away and got planning for things that end up either not being viable, so it just doesn't stack up to develop it, or they can't physically develop it because they are constrained in some way. Yeah. The amount of time that happens is unbelievable, really.
Now I know when I'm looking at the site.
Well, it's like good lessons though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly,
and by the sounds of things, hopefully you didn't lose money on that one.
No, well, I mean, what we bought for, we kept it around 2 years, 1.5 years, so we effectively sold it to what we bought for.
So you didn't but you didn't lose.
We lost money, but at that time, you learn a lot from your mistakes, and then it was at the same time when we started attending the courses, so we had more in-depth knowledge of site finding, site appraisal. So it was the right time for us.
So okay, so how did things change once you did a bit of stuff with us?
Well, it changed all of our knowledge, because we started, again, as I said, going to the committees, reading all the policies, every council's local plans, and when we were looking on Land Insight, now we had a different perspective. And after a couple of months later from the training, we started finding many sites and started sending letters, starting from South London, Croydon, Southwark, all the Lewisham, Bromley. So the course kind of inspired us to do more, because we know we're in the right path.
Yeah. And it's worth mentioning that. So again, now with that knowledge, right? Because lots of people, obviously, I think Land Insight, LandTech is the best, right? For people that may or don't know, I was basically the founding investor in that, right? So I sort of literally helped build it from the beginning. So clearly, I think it's the best. It is the best, right?
I think so. I've tried other
There's no doubt, when it comes to site finding. But even then, of course, you still need the knowledge and experience to know what you're looking for and what just decipher what you're actually seeing. Yeah,
exactly. So that training we've been to, your trainings, it was really helpful for us. And then when we are creating our Excel lists for sites, we started giving them ratings. Like nice. 3-star ones are like site all day longs. 2-star ones are okay. 1-star, maybe land flip, because we were also doing land flip. Finding land. There's some potential, but not much. Buying it of cheap and then quickly flipping it
so
in the auction.
What without planning?
Without planning.
That's interesting.
Nice CGI, but that's because we were like mid-20s, we're more of a risk taker at those ages. But we earned some money from that too.
And that went all right as well?
Yeah, and it did. And again, very good times in the market, so that helped. And then we increased our equity.
Do you know what? This is worth mentioning actually, because this might be a little bit of a warning for some people.
Yeah.
So, because this happens as well. 100%. People tie up something or even go and buy it like you had. Don't even, as you look, my thing's all about planning, right? Adding maximum planning value via, good design and all the rest of it, right? So that's always been sort of like the way I try to do things. But, what other people also do is tie something up, secure it, control it, polish it up, make it look good, i.e. bit of a sexy CGI.
Yeah.
And again, the amount of people that get convinced by that stuff and then just go and do it, pay sometimes crazy money for it.
Yeah.
Because and they may and possibly won't actually get planning, certainly for what they think they might get, and certainly not easy unless they really know what they're doing. So it's interesting that you did that and that it worked.
We did that because when we were finding sites, especially when our knowledge wasn't great, we were finding these sites and sending these letters. Obviously, the owners who owned these lands for 30 odd years knew there's no planning potential there. So we could tie the deals up really for real low money, sell it in the next auction.
Yeah.
Obviously, when we put the CGIs up, they were nice CGIs.
Yeah, of course.
The auction house would say, subject to your planning. So it was just short-term money.
But it's interesting. Like, I want to highlight that just for the benefit of other people as well.
I'm not saying
look, you do what you do. To be honest, if someone, people, it's up to them what they do, what they buy, what they get involved in. Yeah. But it's important that people really understand, as we know ourselves, right? This stuff is not easy.
No.
And just because something looks like you can fit something on there and you're going to get planned, it doesn't mean you are. Certainly doesn't mean it's going to be quick, cheap, or easy.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we tapped into that with our land flips. We know there was no limited planning potential on the sites, but it's just for us to increase our equity. So we did use that tactic. So we have more money for actual planning sites, which will come on shortly. So we were just short income, and then our main bread and butter was we need to find sites that has planning potential for 8 houses, 9 houses, 5 houses. So
tell us about some of those then.
The next one is Beulah Hill, which I think we'll share the details now. It was greenfield looking, previously developed land. This land was around 2,000 square meters. It was actually reserved for extend the road, but it never happened. And when we were using Land Insight, we've just seen this land parcel on the screen and saying, this is a site all day long. Although it has its restrictions, knowing the stuff we know then is like we quickly do a fact pack calculation. We can get at least 4 houses there, 4 to 5 houses, and then sent the letter. Luckily, the landowner answered. He was the landowner is a huge property company actually. Have office blocks in central London. He said one of his employees actually called and said, "Come and let's talk about this site."
So this is interesting. So did they think that it had potential? Did they?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think they would. I know they didn't. Right?
Yeah. The reason is actually when I went to their office, I rang the doorbell, just waiting them to answer. Someone really fancy looking with I won't forget this, with diamond cufflinks came. Opened the door. What are you here for? I said I'm here for Mr. Landlord's the land he owns in Beulah Hill. I'm Mr. Landlord. I'm going out for lunch. I said, I'll make it quick because I was going to see the general manager. Okay, you got 5 minutes. We went up to his office, really nice, fancy looking. And he opened the drawer, many titles. I was like, okay, all the calculations in my head are going at this stage because my partners said the budget for this is up to 400k. You can buy this site for 400k. So he was going and found this site, looked at the title plan. Why on earth did I buy this land? It's like, in my head, I'm just halving the price.
Nice.
So, we talked around a bit, and he said, "What's your offer?" I said 220k. He said, no. He said 260 and we have a deal. I said, sorry sir, I got a budget that is given to by my partners that is approved. I can't do that. The maximum I can do is 220. And inside I'm jumping with joy. Said I'll sleep on it and then I'll let you know tomorrow. The office was around Chiswick when I was driving.
The office was in Chiswick?
Chiswick, yeah, Chiswick. And
that's what
not
my office
your
is.
office, not your office.
Definitely wasn't my office.
Yeah.
You have to tell me who it is later.
Yeah, later on.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think I know who it is.
You might do. When I'm driving back in my car, I was shaking because I knew, because even if we put like 4 or 5 houses there, I can sell the site with planning for $1 million. So I was really excited. The following day, we tied the deal up, 252,000, and I forgot something very important, because before sharing my offer, we researched like the best architects in the area, best planning consultants from various scale planning applications, and got the initial planning appraisals and initial sketches. So that was key. So obviously we knew the developable area of the land, but we needed the experts' advice on it as well. So for such deals, I really value the input of good architects, good planning consultants. That spending that 2-3k in the beginning could save you a lot of money, in our opinion. So we did that, and then we had a good idea that we can get 4 to 5 houses here. So when I shook hands with the landowner, I was jubilant.
So a couple of things there, important, right? For people listening's benefit as well. Is two things really. I mean, obviously, once you've got that knowledge and experience to know roughly what something should be worth, and the more you know, the more experienced you are, the closer, what you assess or assume, the more right you are. Yeah, as opposed if you haven't got a clue, people, they have no idea what stuff is really worth. Interestingly, even the people that you bought it off, right? Well-established, old-school property company that you would think and assume would know, but the amount of people that they just don't know, because to know, you have to be really good at this detailed stuff, right? So that's one thing that's important for people to know. Knowing what stuff is really worth, and importantly, knowing how to create that value is really what it's all about. But the other thing is, you mentioning good architects and good planning consultants, absolutely, 100%.
Indispensably important.
But could they have done it on their own, i.e. without your direction and input and all the rest of it?
No, because it's not their job.
Exactly.
I mean, the architect we work with is one of the best architects, but he wouldn't be interested in site finding because that's not his bread and butter. Same with the planning consultant. He works with the biggest firms in the UK, but again, it's not his job title to find sites, spare equity, go and negotiate, because he relies on other companies like us bringing that to him. But their knowledge that with our partnership is vital, to make things work. So we really value them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But the important thing is, obviously, as I've shown you on stuff that we've done together, about the instructing them. So one of the things, I know there's a lot of people out there that they think, all I have to do is go and get an architect and a planning consultant. And it's a bit like, you talk about earlier the bullshit of passive income, right?
Yeah.
Likewise, this is not something where you just go and get an excellent architect and planning consultant and they're going to do it all for you. Yeah. This business doesn't work that way. Yeah. It's you, me, that we have to instruct them what it is that we're trying to get. And I don't know about you now. Obviously we're not going to be architects, we're not going to be planning consultants, but we need to know at least as much of them, really, in a lot of ways. And more, actually, because it's our job to basically, see the bigger picture and effectively conduct the orchestra.
Yeah, exactly. We have to have a comprehensive knowledge of the whole thing. So what architects know, the technicalities, the distances, the developable area, as well as what the planning experts going to say. So we had a rough idea when we gave 3 stars to this land. We knew it was a site all day long, and in our Excel we said we can get like 4 to 5 houses here. So we have done our feasibility studies on our site, but then when we instruct them, it's like a seal of approval, because they can say, well, actually you can get more, or you can, there's a TPO, the root system, all the technicalities. They might say you have to be careful, etc. So it's just some sort of a reassurance from them. And again, coming back to working with top professionals, what we've done for this site is actually we have instructed one of our previous architects to just prepare a small sketch. The sketch he came up with was atrocious. Like, what are you thinking? And then boom, we've eliminated him, because if we had gone to planning with him, we then got a straight refusal.
Exactly.
Would have sold the site with a loss. So it's very important to know what you're doing yourself as a developer, both planning and architecturally, and then work with the best of the best to get most out of a site. Totally.
So, okay. So interestingly, so you've told me the story before on this one. So my whole thing. Normally I tie stuff off on option agreements. Where even if I could slap down money and buy it unconditionally, I still don't want to. I'd still rather have it tied up on an option agreement. That's just me, right? We've all got different ways of doing things. But now on this one, you just bought it outright, yeah?
Unconditional, because we were 99 points sure.
Well, you knew it was cheap, yeah?
Yeah, it was cheap, because when we look at the site, how we appraisal is plan A is getting planning. Plan B, if we can't get planning, if we sell it in the auction, like, what's the safety net? Because when we tied the site for 252k, I know we can even make profit in the auction. So that was like some sort of other reassurance to us. But the idea was always planning, and we knew we'll get there.
Very nice. So now, interestingly, I want to, before you tell us the outcome, it was coincidental, because you remember I bumped into you at that planning committee.
Yes, planning committee.
That was the one, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was very interesting, because I was really, really nervous because of the obviously committee. I was going to the gents every 3 minutes, and then I told to my partner, Paul Higgs is here, because you are like a mentor. Also, don't want to big you up on your own podcast, but for us, we look up to you, because you showed all your previous projects. It's inspiring for us. So, oh my God, Paul is here, and I approached you. Do you have a site here? And you said, no, I'm here to watch this narrow strip of land, and You know, it was
I didn't know it was yours.
It was a proud moment for us because it's again another reassurance that we're on the right
just
track.
to help for the benefit of people as well, right? So hopefully the whole point of this, really, what we're doing here is so people can like learn stuff and hopefully get more good housing created and and obviously make themselves a few quid as well. Yeah. So, you know, one of the things, so, you know, you were basically doing everything, you know, I've got a bit of a model and a system. I've reverse engineered everything I've learned, including all the mistakes. That's what I teach. That's what I taught you. So I turn up there and you're actually doing it, which is like fantastic. It's like someone's actually doing what they're told for a change, right? And it's coming off. So one of the things that I talk about is obviously research and stuff like that. So basically what happened is I had a little site myself I tied up in Croydon, Funnily enough, actually, you talk about lock-up garages. It was a garage site. I think I probably told you afterwards. I can't remember. Anyway, so I had a little lock-up garage site myself that I had tied up on an option agreement. That was owned by a developer actually. He'd had 4 planning refusals, over 10 years. So he'd obviously also given up. So remember, it's interesting. It's a bit similar to your guy actually. So this is a professional developer. So not someone that didn't have a clue. He'd been trying to get planning for 10 years. Had 4 refusals. Thought it was never going to happen. Someone introduced the site to me. I could see the potential literally straight away. Tied him up on an option agreement. Even before I had him tied up, I knew like this is in the bag, right? So I'm now into like, okay, research phase. I need to make sure I'm going to get planning for what I think I'm going to get planning for. Now that was London Borough of Croydon. I'd never ever done anything in Croydon at the time. So first thing I want to do is, right, I'm going to get all over the planning policy and I'm going to get all over understanding the planning committee, right? So the first thing I do is I then start going to planning committees. So I say to one of my guys, look, we're just about to get this site tied up. Have a look at all the Croydon committee reports. If there's anything like relevant, good coming up that's interesting, let me know. We'll go down there, see how it goes, because I want to see the planning committee's reaction to things. Like I know what policy says, but I want to also understand the politics of the decision making, right? So anyway, so we found this one. Gordon showed me. I said, well, actually, wow, that looks like a nice little site. Let's go and see. So we go down there, bump into you, and it was your site, which was nice. So that was interesting. So like, not only is we're going to suss out how the committee goes.
One of your former
I wanted to see hopefully they're going to get it. Let's see how it goes, you know.
And the committee is a coin toss, and we have been to many committee meetings in Croydon before because. In one of your actually training programs, you were, the $1 million question we want to ask you, which council, Paul, which council? And in one of these, that 3-day courses, you said actually Croydon is one of the pro-development councils. Yeah. So our focus was...
Well, at least it was at the time.
Yes, it changes, for everyone listening. Councils, they change over time. So you need to find the right moment as well. So we went to many committee meetings and, every councillor, gathered their, the way they think and everything. So the committee meetings are really important, but most of them, the councillors, it's generally not about planning. It's that's why I say it's a coin toss. It's a bit of how they feel on the day, and the opposition parties, how much they annoy each other on the day as well.
Very often.
And the questions tend to be irrelevant to planning, but so it's always very nervous. And this site is right next to a scheme that's the 24 flats and maisonettes, so it's very close to the land. So it's just 15 meters between these. So their rear windows are looking to this land. So they were opposing. So we had 130 objections for this scheme. So and they created an association. They hired a planning consultant. But luckily we had the votes, and the reason we got the votes, I want to share it, is so there are 2 parties. I don't remember which party was which. one councillor blamed the chairperson's party, saying, "Oh, what are you doing with all the seal monies? You know, we don't know where you." So he or she annoyed the chairperson. So the other councillors who were from the chairperson's party starting, okay, we're going to approve this because they were in the majority. So it was we were a bit lucky, but the planning officer ticked all the boxes, so there was no problem on the planning side.
So it can go that way, and to be honest, more often than not, I've seen it go the other way. You've got a fantastic scheme, you've done everything right, you've got planning officer's recommendation for approval, and it still gets booted out just because of some political bollocks, basically. Yeah. Luckily enough, it didn't go that way for you, and you got the right result. But whatever the case, and this is one of the other things I talk about, one of the things I teach, one of the things I do, you know, if you remember, I've got a bit of a system where you come up with your planning strategy and you sort of work backwards. So whatever the case, you know, we always need to be designing things so that, well, if the worst comes to the worst and I end up at appeal, how am I going to win it? Yeah. So the good thing is, you know, if you do what you did, i.e. you've literally designed a really good scheme that does tick all the planning boxes. So if the worst comes to the worst, hopefully you should still win it, even if you fall foul of all the political bullshit.
Yeah, we were ready for appeal as well, because as I said, it's a coin toss. They could have said no, and then we could have, you know, we were ready to go to appeal as well. With, you know, we discussed this with our architect, with our consultant. You know, got quotations for that too. So we were ready, but luckily
went the right way. Nice.
Approval, yeah.
So what did you do? So you got planning and you owned it anyway.
Yeah. So we
you tied it up for 252. Did you say
252? We tied it up unconditionally. Bought it. We spent around 100 plus on the planning expenses. There was Japanese knotweed, so for treatment that cost a bit of money. And our overall cost was 393,000.
393. Okay,
so we spent.
So that's going to be your purchase costs, your stamp duty, your legals, all your planning fees, architects, planning consultants, your specialist reports,
and all that.
And is that the cost?
Knotweed treatment was a bit.
Oh, you did the knotweed treatment.
Yeah, the chemical one.
Okay,
so we started
okay,
so
that's interesting.
when we are selling, so it's a bit
makes it a bit more saleable. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And luckily we get the approval, and for 8 houses, all 3 beds, and we sold it for 1.7 million.
1.7.
Yeah.
Very nice.
The exit was around 18 months.
Okay, so what's that? So you 390 something. So what did you net effectively off that one?
A lot.
A lot. So what's it? 1.7, and you about 400 or 300?
Yeah, 400. Let's say 400. Just shy of 400. So yeah.
Very nice.
1.3
million quid profit.
Yeah.
So it's not bad, is it?
No. It's. I think it will be our Champions League trophy in our careers. So in terms of return on investment, we'll try to beat it, but you know, it's very difficult. It was, you know, one of those projects.
That's a nice still.
Yeah.
Very good. Well done.
Thank you, Paul, because I've used the sample letter you gave in the training. So it was just whatever you said was our Bible. So we just followed the system, and then it worked. Yeah.
And it's interesting. If you remember, we did a little thing about 6 months ago. So I didn't even know that story. I saw you at the planning committee. I saw you got it. So I thought, fantastic.
Yeah, and
but I didn't know
COVID happened.
I had no. I had COVID. I had no idea of the numbers.
Yeah.
So when I saw you that thing the other day, and anyway, we started talking about it. I'm like,
I said, Paul, that's our site, by the way.
Yeah, I was using it as an example on something, wasn't I? For a little something. And you said, that's our site. And then you told me the story, and I was like, shit, I didn't know you'd made that much.
Yeah, well,
so nice.
Yeah, it was.
So the only bad thing about that deal was that it wasn't mine.
But your student.
But it was, that's the next best thing. The next best thing, it was you.
We'll get you a pint with you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, so anyway, so what's anything else? What's happening now? Anything? So you told me about those 2 earlier.
Yeah. Again, for this January, we'll be sending. We got throughout the years, just in London, we got 1,400 sites.
1,400 sites.
I mean, there are some commercial developments. Planning. So we're not looking for.
So these are like things that on your list that you've approached.
Some of them are
you
3
send
stars,
letters
some
to-
of them
yeah,
are like site audit, some of
exactly.
them, just for because we got investors, some wants rental income. So we are not looking for new sites, but we are sending letters twice to 3 times a year. So we will every January I do that because
nice.
every Christmas people spend. So I'm hoping the landowners will be.
It's true. I'm not going to give away all the secrets here.
Yeah, of course.
But as you know, there is a very specific letter or letters for different situations, very specific timings, very specific follow-ups, and nearly everyone else gets those wrong. So as you now know, like when you do it the right way, name of the game, this business is hard enough anyway, right? So you've got to optimize and maximize everything you do, you know?
Yeah, 100%. We are looking at, option deals now. So a developer friend of mine introduced a site in Hadley Wood. So I'm doing the feasibility, all the legals now. Probably after Christmas, I'll let him know if it works or not. So yeah, looking all over London really.
Nice. So very good. So 11 years now you've been doing it.
Yeah.
Obviously, like brilliant story. Started really small, but now doing stuff like that, and that was a few years ago as well. Now,
so that was we purchased the site Q1 2019, sold the site Q2, like right to the first lockdown. 2020. So afterwards we are now more on at the moment looking for rental uplifts for commercial properties. Sometimes it's easy to find make deals, but last 6-7 months I think we struggled a bit. Maybe we're a bit hesitant with the interest rate uncertainty around it.
It's a weird market, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is weird, and I would say it's the first time in our career you've seen it over the last 30 years. So we are a bit hesitant to what to do, but hopefully when I send 1,400 letters January, so I hope a couple of them will.
There's a good few deals in there,
and then we can make deals.
Nice.
More deals.
So what would you say to? Well, not new people starting out, but it's not just not new people, because that's what we've discovered, right?
Yeah.
There's people that have been in this business for a long time and still missing stuff and still not getting it right.
Exactly. So that's why, for instance, when I'm walking in London or when I'm driving with my wife, I always it's like a reflex. I look at commercial developments, vacant properties. It's just. In me now. The bug is in me. So wherever I go,
you see it everywhere, don't you?
Exactly. Look for site. It's good thing it's not that obvious to many people, but there are sites everywhere.
This is one of the things I say is when you really know how it all works and what the potential is. It's so interesting. Most people I'd be interested to see how you find it now. Most people struggle with deals and sites and all the rest of it. Once you really get it, that you see them everywhere. They're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know about you. For me, the problem isn't like finding them; it's having enough time to do them all. You know?
Yeah. We got enough sites in our Excel to make them deal, to make them feasible with the owner's expectation. That's another art form.
Yeah.
There are opportunities everywhere, every part of London, and then it's just the fact pack calculation if it works or not. When the owner picks up the phone, and if you have the equity, if you have the right option deal, because I see a lot of friends they tie option deals, and they offer ridiculous amount of money, and then they come up with a scheme that's not going to get planning because they're trying to beat the option figure they have agreed. So it's a balance of everything really, and when you know what you're talking about, the site's potential, what's going to get approved, and the finance side of things, how much is going to the GDV of the scheme, but it's easy, also very difficult to find the right deal, we have struggled a bit this last year. So that's why we moved on to the commercial side.
Yeah, and this is the other thing. Things change, right? The market changes, circumstances changes, planning changes. Planning is probably more difficult now than it's ever been. Actually,
how many housing ministers we had in the last 2 years? I forgot to count.
Unbelievable. I don't even bother trying to remember their names anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway,
essentially, what I'm trying to say for other London developers, I always see London as limited supply of land, and we do need housing. We do need quality and affordable housing, and there are opportunities everywhere.
They are, and I've got to say, and London is probably the most difficult.
It's
part of the country. Yeah, and there's still deals everywhere.
Yeah,
but you just got to know how to make them work. Yeah,
exactly. That's like, we know London. That's why we want to stick here. I'm sure there are lots of opportunities in the rest of the country, but to be able to go to the committees, know the local plan inside and out, know the politics of that council, it requires time. So I could, with my knowledge, with our knowledge, our companies, we could work anywhere in the UK, but then it will be, we have to allocate, 2-3 months more just to learn that council. Yeah. So I think that's, you need that, to put that time in, to understand that council. So that's why we're sticking. We know London, and home counties, so we are sticking there.
I think that's pretty good advice. So let's round it up there really with, in terms of, maybe detailed knowledge, research, have a bit of a patch maybe, rather than literally trying to be too all over the place. But for me, really, it really is like knowledge and information. Really, this is a high risk, high reward business, and the more you know how to do it properly, the more deals you find. Yeah.
And most of the information is available.
It's much easier now, but of course you've got to know what to do with it once you've got it. Of course.
As a like cook, you can have all the ingredients, but to bring up
to stick it together. Very good.
Have the expertise.
All right, mate. Good stuff.
Thank you, Paul.
Keep up the good deals. Thanks for tuning in to Inside Property Development. Please remember to like and subscribe. Do join us every week, where we'll be speaking to house builders, developers, experts, planners, and everyone involved in trying to get more much needed housing created the right way. We'll learn together how we can collaborate rather than fight, and by working together, we can all help create better places, spaces and homes, and a much more beautiful world.